Okay, it's been a bit of a breakout that the market has seen today. In fact, especially on the large cap indices, 10,980 is finally well and truly taken out. So that's good news for the bulls. Of course, you could still argue about the mid cap performance, even though that's also improved quite a bit. So looking quite good. By the way, that's a good set of numbers from Adani Ports because you know, if you see the number, I am seeing the net profit number. That's good number. And for Adani Group stocks, of course, there are a lot of shorts in the system. So would be interesting to see if there's any kind of recovery in some of these stocks. But the first numbers are looking good on Adani Ports. This is Closing Bell, of course. With me, Surbhi. Hi, Surbhi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. Yeah, I mean, mixed bag, I guess, in terms of earnings. We're still awaiting the big numbers from the pharma majors.
Yeah.
That will come out now. And, of course, on the steel side as well, JSW Steel. So it promises to be an action-packed 1 hour ahead. But before that, the market itself, Anuj, today, I mean, the index is up 1%. Today, there's more participation as well. It's not the same 5 stocks that we always speak of. It's a lot more names on the screen. How do you rate the day?
I think it's been a good day today, Surbhi. Absolutely no doubt about it. The fact that you know, there's so much participation today, though you know the mid-cap performance, I think still leaves a lot to be desired, frankly. So that is that I think is a bit of a problem point for the market. But overall, I think you know, things are looking quite good right now.
I think the Lupin numbers should also hit the screen in some time. I don't seem to have the entire number. Okay, if I'm seeing the right number, this is the standalone. I think we'll get the exact numbers on the screen in a bit. Not opening up as of now. Yeah, that's the third quarter number that we're getting from Lupin. Remember, we have to watch out for, okay, there's a net loss. I wonder what happened here. 151 crore rupee net loss coming through for Lupin. We have to watch out for the margin performance, of course. There was expectation that this time some stability that we saw in the US business, that should continue in Q3 as well. But I think we'll just have to wait by to see where that loss is coming from. If you give me a couple of minutes, Anuj, I'm just trying to get down to the release and see if there are any details of the loss. The press release is not out. I think we just have to wait by. That's what we have on Lupin. Just to run through some of the other numbers, what we are expecting is flat EBITDA, but a revenue growth of at least 4 to 5%. So that's what the street is going with. Let's see what's prompted that loss. It must be extraordinary. We'll just get down to it in a moment. But that stock actually reacting positively now because it's a one-time loss. It's probably a one-time charge that, that they've taken.
Yeah, I think even Adani Ports is actually now reacting quite negatively to those numbers. I don't know if there's anything in the internals which is bothering the market, but just pull out a chart intraday on Adani Ports. Even that slipped off quite a bit from the high point. In fact, that's bit falling off the cliff a bit. So
the exceptional item on Lupin is with respect to a court case in Europe. The European Commission had a 2014 decision, etc. And basically there's a charge. There's a provision of 42.8 million euros the company has taken, citing, that includes the interest, etc. of 2.8 million. So because of that adjustment, there is that one-time loss because of that EU charge. But we'll get to the operational performance as well. If we leave that aside, you know, Ekta, quick thoughts? Any thoughts on Lupin?
Oh, well, you know, I don't think the street would care that much that there's an exceptional loss with regards to, you know, a one-time settlement which has taken place. I think the street is looking out for the margins more importantly. And I think we have Ameya Chalke with us to just talk about the Lupin numbers. Ameya, we just have the bottom line figure with us. But if you can just take us through what the margins are this time round for Lupin, if you've managed to, you know, go through that.
No, I have not been able to get through the press release yet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What would you make of this one-time loss which they've recorded with regards to this litigation on this drug, perindopril?
So, it was expected. It was disclosed, I guess, some 2-3 years back. I guess even the Unichem had some amount or that they were both there included in this litigation.
Okay. All right. Well, we have the revenue also, which is a little better than estimates. So 4,505 odd crores is what the revenue has come in at. And the EBITDA has come in at around 753 odd crores. So I think the street was looking out for that figure specifically. Because if in case there is a Q-on-Q improvement in margins, that's what the street would look out for. Ameya, just your quick thoughts on the revenue figure, 4,505, and your EBITDA of and the margins which have come in at around 16.7%. It's an improvement from last quarter.
So this is a significant improvement. I believe we were expecting around 4,100 crore kind of a 4,000 crore kind of a top line and around 650 crore kind of a EBITDA. So they have beaten these estimates by big margins.
Okay. All right, Damya, thanks very much for taking us through those numbers. And like you can see, Anuj, it's an improvement in the stock once the margins have hit the screen.
Yeah, I think that's a good set of numbers from Lupin, if you all things considered. And with Lupin, the basic sense the street gets is that perhaps the worst is truly priced in the stock now, and FY20 is going to be a good year, and there are going to be some products. So, in fact, the stock is about to turn into the green. Could be very interesting last hour for Lupin, because now you're beginning to see the move. There was this one-off which impacted the number, but the internals of the numbers are looking quite good. Prakash Diwan is also with us in our studios. Prakash, Lupin, is it time to perhaps start looking at this stock, ticking some boxes now?
Yes, there's nothing to complain about. But, anecdotally, there's been a little bit of inconsistency with this company's growth or trajectory. So if this trend does set in, and as Ekta was also pointing out, if the margin improvement is something that you could start relying on, then I think it would. But let's look at this. What's the opportunity, the alternatives that people have when you look at nibbling into pharma at this point? Very attractive levels for a lot of other businesses like Oro, Biocon. So, whether Lupin stands a test of time in terms of this consistency of margin growth is the question. But yes, at some stage it would start featuring in on the buy list for some people.
Okay, well, I guess the one thing Lupin has going for itself is that it's been a very range stock. It hasn't done anything else. I mean, unlike some of the names that you mentioned, which have had a slightly better off run. We'll get more thoughts in as we go along. Right now, that seems to be a good set of numbers, right from the top line to the EBITDA. Don't let the loss bother you. That's because of a one-time court provision that the company has taken.
And I think the issue with Lupin, Surabhi, is that it's one company where they've always guided the market that they'll do bad. For last year and this year, there's been no expectation on Lupin. They have been on record that the pipeline starts only in the second half of FY19 and FY20 onwards. So, and the stock's pretty close to its low, so that also helps. But anyway, we'll of course address those numbers in more details. Ashwani and Mitesh with us for closing strategies. Good afternoon, Ashwani. Been a breakout on the index. Your thoughts for last hour, and of course your stock calls now.
Well, this is not exactly a bull market breakout, because the breakout happened at 11 o'clock. We've made hardly 50 points from there. So it's kind of slow, and obviously mid-cap, etc. may drop out in a couple of days. But for whatever it's worth, I think a final round of short covering should happen in this hour, and possibly you will close the Nifty at the high point of the day, because there must be people who would be hoping that somehow magically Nifty goes down in the last hour. So it's typical trend day where the last hour could be having more upside. Having said that, JSPL is a buy with a stop of 129, target of 140. TCS is a buy with a stop of 2050, target of 2120. And Mahindra & Mahindra is a buy with a stop of 688, target of 710.
Okay, all right. Those are Ashwini's calls. Several buys on that list. Good afternoon, Mitesh. How do you look at today's day? I mean, it's been pretty strong, not too much volatility. Would you look at buying anything at the moment?
Good afternoon. So I've been positive since the start of the day, saying that we have finally given a breakout. There are two things which I want to add over here. The Nifty has broken out of the gap, so typically this could still surprise people on the upside. Therefore, I would look at least 11,200 as the minimum working target. Maybe we'll overshoot that as well. For the time being, while the breadth isn't very comforting, but the fact of the matter is that the index continues to go higher. I have two buy calls. Amar Raja is a buy with a stop at 780 for targets of 814, and Bajaj Finance is a buy. Keep a stop at 2650. Look for targets of around 2775.
Okay, thanks a lot for those trading strategies. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com and Prakash Diwan with us now. Good afternoon. Ms. Tulsian, your thoughts first on Adani Ports. That's a stock which is sulking now, 4% lower after those numbers.
Anuj, I've not been able I have not been able to see the numbers of Adani Port, because the kind of corrections, because optically it looks better, but the reason for this sudden fall is yet to be analyzed.
Fair enough. Let's talk about some other stocks then, Ms. Tulsi, and 35% gone and counting now on Reliance Infra. What next? I mean, this was one company along with Reliance Capital where, people thought at least there are some good assets. But how to approach these stocks now?
See, Anuj, in fact, I have been saying this for last maybe couple of years. In fact, people, may not like, they did not like my views on the entire group. Because though each company seem to be independent, but you have never seen the companies, being managed in that way. Because people always took all the interrelation of the companies, it again sounds very, very funny to say that, whether Reliance Infra, Reliance Com, Reliance Capital, and the kind of perception which we have been seen building, because in fact there are a lot of issues involved in regard to the liquidity and in fact in the business model. If I need to isolate Reliance Infra, I may say that their main core business have gone. The performance actually for the Q3, which the numbers which they released yesterday, did not have any disappointment. But can you rely on those numbers and can you have the comfort? So it is better to remain away from the trading point of view as well as from investment point of view, and that is what we have been advising for last 3 years for all the ADAG stocks.
Okay, earnings in full focus this afternoon. So Lupin's been on target, in fact above estimates. Adani is still sulking. Let's get some more details in. Anisha is joining in. Anisha, so yeah, I mean, I think as you put out on the ticker as well, there is that component, I think Forex, which is bumping up the bottom line. But how do these numbers look operationally?
Well, Surabhi, if you talk about the operational performance, the stock should actually recover because there's no reason for the stock to sulk. You already have the headline numbers for you on the screen. So let me talk about the volume numbers. Now, in this month, they have done a volume of around 54 million metric ton. This quarter, I apologize. And in 9 months gone by, they have done a 154 million metric ton. And they say they are on track to exceed the initial guidance of 200 million metric ton. The container volume is up 9%. The cargo is up around 10-12%, making the total cargo volume growth of around 12%. Even if you look at the other internals, they are looking better than expectations. Yes, there's an other income element, and the forex gain that you were talking about is something that the street has already factored in. Because do remember, in the 2 quarters that had gone by, the company had taken a hit of almost 1,000 crores because of the rupee movement. And now with some appreciation of rupee that we have seen, we are seeing that 300 crore gain that we have seen. And this is something that the analysts were working with. They had not accounted for in their estimates, and that is why the bottom line looks higher by around 300 crores to come in at 1,400 crores. But other than that, top line is good, margins are steady, volumes are good across the polls that I've seen. There's nothing disappointing in the numbers as of now.
Okay, nothing disappointing in the number. Anisha, thanks a lot for that. I think the market heard that. The stock's now off the lowest point of the day. Prakash, do you track it? Adani Ports, do you have a call on this?
Yeah, so what my view is that, if you see just before the numbers, we've already seen an erosion of almost like 20% on this stock. What the screen tells you is that people at every rise have been trying to exit some of these names. Now, for whatever reason, there could be something to do with either the group as a whole, and most of the stocks have either been flat or tending to lower. So this also people have found an opportunity to exit. Operationally, this could probably be one of the better placed stocks in the infra space, if you ask me, because it's got no dependence on government spending. So that way, it's well poised to ride this whole thing on iron ore and things like that, which are kind of making a comeback. And a lot of the projects, a lot of the berths and jetties which they put up, which they had plans to put up, have been operational. So, there could be value buying that would come at lower levels, but I don't see any reason for it to be so disappointing.
Okay, gentlemen. Right, we'll take a break on that note. Some stocks moving around, by the way: Jain Irrigation, Chambal Fertilizers, KPIT Tech. So it's not as if the mid-cap market is entirely down and out. By the way, the mid-cap index is also looking much, much better. And some of these stocks that I'm talking about, they are really on the move. So definitely a better day even for the mid-cap market today.